So I did a lot of reading this January, horror book reading. We're gonna review them. We're gonna review The Lamb, Sister, Maiden Monster, and Motherthing. I also am gonna do spoilers because I'm gonna do a breakdown of the plot of all of these because I think I need to when I'm talking about them. I'm gonna start off with The Lamb by Lucy Rose. It's so crazy because it's like, okay, how predictable am I? I pick up a book about cannibalism and like feminism and I'm like, wow, 5-star book. But I'm fucking obsessed with this book. I loved it and I devoured it and it reignited my will to live. It was like so fucking good. Love The Lamb. So I'm giving this book 5 stars. Genuinely, after maybe a reread or two, it's in a contender with my top 4. If you want to know what my top books are, it is The Girls by Emma Cline, The Guest by Emma Cline, Sharp Objects, and Tenders the Flesh. So those are my favorite books, and this is right up in that alley with the way that those other books are written. So this book basically follows an 11-year-old girl and her mother living in a very rural area, and they live basically on the land. It's an isolated cottage, and I'm actually dumb because when I was reading this book, like maybe 40% of the way through, I was thinking this was somewhere in Appalachia because of the way that like it was being described, and that's what I was envisioning in my head. But it's actually in rural England and like in the English forest. So like when I think of England, for some reason I don't think of forest, but that makes sense. When I think of thick forest, I think of Appalachia, or like I just love American Gothic, so that's what I was thinking of. But it is an English book. Very obviously, it's English. So the mother basically welcomes a lot of quote-unquote strays into her house and eats them. So that's what this mother and daughter duo do. So they have like a really strange relationship because the mother is not obviously a good mother. Like, she's a cannibal and she's making her daughter be a cannibal as well. And you're basically seeing through the eyes of an 11-year-old girl, a very self-destructive, mentally ill mother and her issues, and you're basically living the trauma of being this 11-year-old girl and just trying to get through your life, trying to come of age. And also the daughter is starting to question if she like has the hunger for like human meat that her mother does. And this sounds really, like, as I'm saying it, it does sound like a cliche horror cannibalism plot, but the way that this is written is so beautiful because it's written simplistically, like through the eyes of a little girl. Like, that's how it's written, but the descriptions of the seasons changing and herbs and different parts of and quirks about their house and just like the environment and even like bugs in the windowsill and dust and mold or poison or blood or whatever. Everything is so visual, like you're seeing through the eyes of someone who hasn't lived that long, so everything is interesting and everything is making an impact. And you're like basically seeing how something like this could really fuck up an 11-year-old girl because she notices every little thing. Every person she interacts with means something to her and like is important to her. And it's really sad because this little girl has a relationship with a girl at her school who's like a normal girl who they actually eat her dad. So it's like she feels guilt and she wants to be like kind of normal. So this book is basically, for half of it, you are just experiencing life in the woods, life day to day at school for this little girl, and killing and eating people basically is like what you're experiencing. But what happens is this stranger comes into the cottage and she's like looking for rest or whatever, but you actually find out she always knew that they were there and suspected that they were hurting people. But this woman appeals to the mother's like insatiable need for unconditional love and ownership. And eventually it just is this horrific and vile ending where the mother and her new lover / like obsessive relationship thing she has with this person, they unalive the daughter, who is the person who you're seeing the story from, unalives the daughter and eats her because she's misbehaving. But she's not misbehaving. She's just having some questions and she's literally did nothing to deserve that. It's crazy. But the daughter poisoned the stock that she was going to be cooked and eaten in. And so everyone ends up dying. Like this book, everyone dies at the end. The last 20 pages are so visceral and horrifying, and you're basically seeing the little girl's spirit view what's happening to her, and it is so gory and terrible and horrible, but I love that because I'm a horror reader and like I love that. But she's like describing them basically hanging her up like a pig because that's what they do to strays that they find that they want to eat. So this book has everything that I love about a horror book because it has beautiful, detailed, and confident writing, like writing that knows that it's like painting a very good story. Like the writing is so confident and so gory and detailed and beautiful. Love that part. But also the plot is so interesting and fascinating, especially if you love to see people basically falling into madness and you like to be disgusted and revolted by a book because it's so scary. And then even better, it ends with a satisfying, violent, all-encompassing ending that has obviously been thought out for so long before this person, Lucy, wrote the book. So I have no notes on this book. No notes. There's a lot of bad reviews about it saying like, this is simple, like the book is simple. And I just honestly feel bad for people that read this and thought it was simple. Because like, I just have these vivid memories of this rotting cottage and like blood on the floor, like rotting into the wood and the wood bending and like the cooking with the flour and like the meat and the teeth and stuff. Holy shit. The beginning, honestly, like I don't love the opening few sentences. Like it basically starts with the little girl picking fingers out of like a drain. And I don't love the start because it seems a tad cheesy, but the book is not cheesy, and just like stick with it. Another thing is that there's a lot of like repetition, people say, where like there's a lot of repetitive scenes and a lot of like helplessness with this little girl because she's not able to actually run away successfully. And it's like, she's a little girl. She doesn't have the knowledge or the power to be like an adult in this story. And that is why it's so tragic and so sad and very scary. Just obsessed with The Lamb. Love The Lamb. Unfortunately, this was the best book I read this month, and the other books I wasn't like a huge fan on. So let's talk about those. So this is Motherthing, and it is less of a horror and more of a drama with horror elements, I'd say. The summary on the back isn't really accurate, I feel like, to what happens in the book, because the summary makes you kind of feel like you're going to be like seeing a lot of interactions between a fucked up mother-in-law and her daughter-in-law kind of fighting and having tension. And I was really interested in a horror book that had that situation because I love complicated women interacting and stuff like that. Like that's really fun and interesting to me. But it's more like the slow descent into madness that happens when the mother-in-law passes away and the wife and the husband are trapped in her house that she left them, and they're both falling into madness. So it's a lot of like slow things unraveling, and I did find it a little slow. Like the middle kind of dragged for me, but the entire time it was an interesting read. It just was not as fast paced as The Lamb for me. And I thought the main character was extremely well developed and written, because even though this book is mostly her inner monologue, her going crazy, her trying to have her husband come back from the depths of insanity, like that seems like you would know that character really, really well. You would know everything she's thinking, but she's so complicated and well written that I did not know everything about her, and I really liked that. There's also some very creepy scenes where she's like in the dark, and it's written so well that you are creeped out when you're reading it. The end of the book is as explosive as The Lamb in a way, because the end of the book is the final crack in the psyche for our main character, and she unalives somebody in a fit of rage and then feeds that to her husband. So weird cannibal coincidence with these two books, but I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 stars. If you love drama and you love psychoanalyzing people, you'll love this. And I loved it. I just didn't love it as much because the horror wasn't front and center like I kind of wanted it to be. It was more like a very interesting drama, which not opposed to at all. And you can tell that this writer is incredibly talented, like, and so intelligent. Like, it's also, it's really funny. Like, a lot of these, like, scenes in this book I was laughing out loud at, which is, like, really rare for me because weirdly, like, when I'm watching a movie, I'll laugh a lot at stuff that's not that funny. But then when I'm reading a book, it really takes a talented writer to make me laugh. Like for a joke to land in a book, you know. And none of the snarky dialogue and like the sassy dialogue seemed cringy because I can tell this isn't the author's personality or voice. I can just tell. And that takes me to my next review, which this is the snarkiest, most annoying book. And I know that that's the author's inner monologue. And I'm so sorry, but I fucking hated this book. I'm giving this 2 out of 5 stars. This is like a shitty horror movie with great effects. Before I rip into this, I just want to say, this was good enough that I watch listed a bunch of at least one other book that she's written. So I love this writer. Read one book, loved the writer. I already was looking immediately for another book that she did. So I really recommend Motherthing. It was really, really hard to go from The Lamb to this and be as excited about it. But if I picked this up at a random bookstore, I would be very happy with my pick. And this kept me so interested. I wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to go to the park because I wanted to read this and suck in all the juicy drama and stuff. It is a lot about having no mother figure. And the name of the book is an allusion to that monkey experiment where the monkey goes to the cloth mother and that's its mother thing. And then this character did that with her childhood couch and that was her mother because her mother sucked. And that's very interesting. So Sister Maiden Monster is about, holy shit. Okay, so it is about a virus that is basically a spiritual body horror awakening virus that this is so convoluted. This fucking virus, this book is written stupid and it has a stupid plot, but there's so many things about the virus that I can't really even get into because that would be just too much. But it follows 3 different women who end up all together in this body horror, cosmic horror, fucked up situation. And when I'm talking body horror, I'm talking growths, a lot of Schmerdler, a lot of growing into monsters. But it's less Cronenberg and more biblically accurate angels and demons kind of thing. And I was thinking this would be Cronenberg world and Rick and Morty, and that's why I picked it up, but it's not really like that. It's more a lot of disgusting gore that is okay. So this is how this got me hooked in because I'm describing it and it sounds fucking awesome. And it is awesome in some ways. If this book were a bunch of short stories where the author was writing gore stories in its encapsulated thing with different characters, it would be probably a 5-star book. This author knows how to write a disgusting gore scene. I actually got this from Thrift Books and it came with a fly squished between the pages, and I was so grossed out by a gore scene in this, and there was the fly, and I actually got really scared and they threw the book on the ground. That's how fucked up it is. The way that's described just gets under your skin. There's specifically this one scene where, so this universe, this virus, it makes you basically into a zombie of sorts. So there's this scene where this woman is having a type of sex with another woman. They meet up and do stuff, but they both have this zombie virus thing, so they want to suck blood, eat brains and stuff. So one woman is sitting like on a bed with her legs spread, and then another woman is sitting on the floor kneeling in between her legs, and they're both facing the same way. And the woman kneeling cuts open the arm of the woman who's sitting and starts sucking her blood out of this cut in arm. And the woman who's sitting on the bed opens up a surgically put in flap of skin on her scalp, and opens up her skull, because they've literally, like, the woman has put in like a removable section of her skull, opens up the skull piece and starts licking the brain. And it is so graphic, and she's like licking the brain. It is the most disgusting shit. It's so vile. Loved it, but it was vile. It was disgusting. When people talk about the scene, they're talking about that scene, I think. But the gore scenes are the only redeeming quality of this book. It is written so cringy and so preachy that it's like, okay, so like, I'm just going to describe one of the characters and you'll understand what I'm saying by this book sucks. Like, it's so weird and preachy. Like, one of the characters is a BDSM professional, and she works at a brothel, but she gets dental and healthcare and gets paid like $200,000 a year. And she is like, her backstory is her dad unalived their entire family because he was like a misogynist and he was like crazy or something. But the reason that this girl's alive is because she went on to do a band tryout by herself. And then her vibe in life is that her individuality and her personhood made her like a survivor. And like that saved her life, is her doing her individuality. But the way that I described it is so much deeper than the way that they describe it in this book. It's like the way she talks is annoying. She says stuff like straight up dead. Like, she's like a blonde woman who's like a rich BDSM person who has like full dental, full healthcare. She makes like a bunch of money. And that is not the reality for most workers in that field. Like, this book is making a fantasy world where like women get paid a bunch of money to do that shit. And that's not the way it works. It's like this book is like a fake world where everybody's pansexual, and like, I can't even, this book is so stupid. And one of the women in this novel keeps talking about stuff like, my rational brain says this, but my rat brain says that. What's your rat brain? What does that mean, my love? And it's like, all the women characters have the same voice. They have the same inner monologue. It's written in the same way. It's very like snarky, like, like, this is what I think of when I think of like a smut book. This is how that's written. It's like, snarky know-it-all woman gets a taste of her medicine when she meets the woman of her dreams. But she has a fiance who's buff and ripped as fuck, who has like a angel tattoo on his pec, and he's like rippling muscles, and he got them sushi dinner for their 5-year anniversary, and then after that they had smacks, and then they had cake after that. It's just not accurate to real life. Like, none of this book is accurate to real life, obviously, but it's like, this book could happen. And it's realism. Like, it's a horror book with like paranormal elements, and I fully believe that this is a real character. It doesn't matter what happens in the book. I fully believe in this as a real character. Reading this book, I was laughing out loud at the inner monologues of these people, because this is a smut book. I swear to God, I should have judged this by the cover. This cover looks like a smut book, and I should have judged it by the cover, because I'm a graphic designer. I know better than this. To be fair though, Shy Girl, which has a beautiful cover, I guess is like AI generated, so maybe not always, but this just feels like there is no distinction between the author and the writing. It feels like I'm just reading kind of fan fiction of somebody's inner monologue and they wanted to write like badass characters. But gore scenes are fucking scary. They're very good. But there are as many gore scenes as there are like smack scenes or like describing someone in a sexual way. Like the reason I say this is a smut book is because every fucking person that's described, including a monk who's like hung as fuck or something. Not a monk, he's like a priest or some kind of thing, but like everyone is described in a way that's very sexualized, which is so weird. Like, like even when in this novel, for example, she's describing her husband, she doesn't say his rippling pectorals and his rippling hung. Like, it's not, it's just not like, it's like a porn. It's just weird. I don't know how to describe it. And maybe I'm just out of the loop because I haven't read any of these smut books that everyone reads. But this is my first interaction with a book like that. And I'm like, this is not a book. This is like you're reading tweets of fan fiction. It's so weird. I've never experienced that in my life. I'm sorry that it seems like I'm more passionate about books I hate than books I love, because that's one thing about me. I'm sorry. Like, I tend to get more excited talking about stuff I hate for some reason. I don't know why. So these are the horror books I read this month. Hopefully I'll make another video about books I read the next month because I have a really awesome TBR for next month. I'm trying to get my hands on Played as It Lays by Joan Didion, which I guess is like a Fear and Loathing kind of vibe, but for girls, which that's pretty much horror. Like, I'm gonna say that could be a horror book. So that's one I'm trying to get my hands on this month. And then also Open Wide by Jessica Gross and Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. The thing about Between Two Fires though is I can't find it anywhere. So I might have to get it on my iPad, which sucks because I want a book, and if I can't get my hands on one of those for some reason, I'm gonna read The Unworthy by Augustina, who did Tender as the Flesh. I know The Unworthy is gonna be good because Tender as the Flesh is fucking baller and awesome, so I know this. Those are my reviews. Thank you for watching. So I hope you have an awesome day. Hope you have an awesome day, awesome night, and peace and love, and bye.